In the heart of the Balkans, where the land seems to remember every footstep, lies a country many have heard of, but few truly understand. Kosovo. A name wrapped in politics, conflict, and complexity. But beneath the headlines is something more. A people shaped by centuries of invasion and survival, and a spirit too stubborn to be erased. Let us take you on a journey, not just across geography, but through time. A story of kings and conquerors, wars and resilience, sorrow and rebirth. This is Kosovo, ancient, wounded, and deeply alive. 1. From Illyrians to empires, the roots of resistance. The story of Kosovo begins long before names and borders. Over 2,000 years ago, the Illyrians walked this land, tribal, independent, and defiant. They lived in fortified hill settlements, worshipped the sun and sky, and fought with such ferocity that even the Romans feared them. When the Roman Empire finally conquered the region, they built cities, roads, and amphitheaters. But they could not erase the spirit of the people. That resilience, that refusal to be forgotten, became a defining part of Kosovo's soul. 2. Byzantium, Serbia, and the battle for Kosovo. As centuries passed, Kosovo became a contested jewel. Byzantium ruled, but Slavic peoples moved in, and in the 12th century, it became the spiritual heart of the Serbian kingdom. Magnificent monasteries like Gračanica and Dekani were built, places of peace, that would later become targets in war. In 1389, the Battle of Kosovo Polj changed everything. Serbian Prince Lazar faced Ottoman Sultan Murad in a battle so fierce that both leaders died, though technically a draw. The battle was immortalized in Serbian epic poetry as a noble sacrifice, and used for generations as a symbol of identity and grief. Yet the battle also marked the start of Ottoman dominance, which would last over 500 years. 3. The Ottoman mosaic, faiths entwined. Under Ottoman rule, Kosovo transformed. Islam spread across the region, and mosques rose in every town. Albanian identity began to solidify under a new religion, even as Christian churches remained active. The cities became multicultural, multilingual, and complex. Prizren became known as the Jerusalem of the Balkans, home to Muslims, Catholics, Orthodox Christians, and Jews. The bazaars echoed with dozens of languages, and hospitality became a sacred custom. The concept of Besa, a solemn vow of trust, flourished during these centuries. 4. Albanian awakening and the League of Prizren. In 1878, amid the fall of the Ottoman Empire, Albanian leaders gathered in Prizren to protect their culture, language, and lands. They formed the League of Prizren, a unifying political movement that declared, "We are a people, we will not be divided." Although quickly suppressed by Ottoman forces, the League planted the seeds of Albanian nationalism. Kosovo would never again be silent. 5. 20th century, occupation, communism, and conflict. The 1900s brought wave after wave of instability. During World War I and World War II, Kosovo was tossed between Serbian, Italian, and German control. After World War II, it was folded into Yugoslavia under Marshal Tito. At first, Kosovo had autonomy. Albanian language education was allowed, and a new generation emerged. But after Tito's death in 1980, Serbian nationalism surged. Autonomy was revoked. Albanian teachers were fired. Peaceful protests by students in Pristina were met with violence. Slowly, hope turned into desperation. 6. The road to war, from silence to fire. By the 1990s, tensions boiled over. The Kosovo Liberation Army, KLA, formed, demanding independence. Serbian forces responded with brutal force, massacres, forced expulsions, burned villages. The world watched in horror. In 1999, NATO intervened with airstrikes. After 78 days, Serbia withdrew, but the cost was enormous. Thousands dead, cities destroyed, trust shattered. The people who returned found their homes gone, their families scattered, but their will to rebuild intact. 7. A nation is born, and challenged. On February the 17th, 2008, Kosovo declared independence. Flags were raised, fireworks lit the night. For many, it was a long-awaited moment of liberation. Yet, recognition was, and remains, a struggle. Today, over 100 countries recognize Kosovo, including the US, UK, and most of the EU. But countries like Serbia, Russia, China, and 5 EU members do not. Kosovo holds a seat in some global institutions, but not in the United Nations. And so, the young nation walks a narrow bridge between visibility and invisibility. 8. A youthful nation, hungry for change. Kosovo has the youngest population in Europe. Over half the population is under 30, and they are tired of war stories, tired of being defined by conflict. These young people are building tech startups, launching fashion brands, producing rap music in 3 languages, and winning international awards in film and literature. In Pristina, you'll find street art with political bite, rooftop cafes with skyline views, and an unrelenting hunger to be heard. 9. Borders, identity, and the struggle for belonging. Kosovo is European, but not in the EU. It uses the euro, but is not in the Eurozone. Its athletes win Olympic medals, but some are barred from competitions. Its citizens dream of travel, but face visa restrictions that others in Europe do not. This limbo defines modern Kosovo. It is both proud and frustrated, hopeful and skeptical, but above all, it is determined to prove it belongs. 10. A treasured land, hidden culture, living memory. Kosovo's beauty is not always obvious. You won't find crowded beaches or luxury resorts, but if you sit by a fire in the mountains of Rugova, if you drink strong coffee with locals in Jakova, if you walk the Ottoman Bridge in Vuštri, you'll feel something ancient, something unforgettable. You'll feel the soul of a place that refuses to be forgotten. Bonus: the honor of Besa, humanity in war. In the darkest chapters of human history, where fear ruled and cruelty became common, the people of Kosovo, particularly its ethnic Albanian majority, chose a different path. During World War II, when the Nazis extended their control over much of Europe, millions of Jews were hunted, betrayed, deported, and exterminated. Entire communities were wiped off the map. Neighbors turned away from neighbors. Friends became informants. Silence became complicity. But in Kosovo, something remarkable happened. Guided by an ancient code of honor, known as Besa, Albanian Kosovars took in Jewish families, many of them complete strangers. They did not do this for money, for recognition, or even for reward. They did it because their culture, their upbringing, and their moral code gave them no other choice. Besa is more than a word. It means to keep the promise, but it goes far beyond that. It's a sacred commitment. Once you give your word, you protect it with your life. To offer shelter is to offer your soul. To betray is to lose your humanity. Entire Albanian households risked execution by hiding Jewish families in cellars, barns, forests, and mountains. They forged papers. They fed them from their own scarce supplies. And when Nazi officers knocked on doors, they lied with a steady voice, even knowing that the price of being caught was death. One survivor later said, "They hid us not like guests, but like family. I was a child, and I remember being kissed goodnight every evening, just like their own daughter." And here's the most astonishing fact. Not a single Jew from Kosovo is known to have been handed over to the Nazis by an Albanian family. Not one. In a time when the world forgot its soul, Kosovo remembered. In a time of darkness, they lit candles not only for themselves, but for others. Today, many of those families are honored as righteous among the nations by Yad Vashem in Israel, but many more remain unnamed, their stories passed down only in family memory, in a photo, a whispered name, a tear in an elder's eye. This legacy is not loudly celebrated in Kosovo. It is not used for political gain. It is quiet. It is humble. It is Besa. And it reminds us all, the true measure of a nation is not its power, but its humanity. Kosovo, even in its most desperate times, chose to be human, and that, perhaps, is its greatest victory of all. Kosovo is not just headlines or history. It's a place where trauma meets tenderness, where the past still casts shadows, but the future burns with light. The world often forgets Kosovo, but Kosovo has not forgotten the world. It watches, it waits, it hopes. And every day, its people write a new page, braver, bolder, more beautiful than the last.